created my own little algorithms to do one thing or another, like disease states, a mortality algorithm. And
I think you will have a whole levels of robotics, that humanoid robots or non-humanoid robots, whatever the case is.
But the one that I really gravitated towards was Alteryx. Low code, no code, business intelligence stuff, data science, machine learning, things like that.
Audio, the text, and then everything's big metaverse bug. Everybody knows the metaverse.
Another week of AI.
Okay, mic check. Let's see if it's working here. Good to go. All right. Hope everybody had a good weekend, because seems to be that, everybody got sick over the weekend. So my whole family, along with a few people that were supposed to be on the show, is also not feeling that well. So we're going to push through, but I think we're going to keep it short. Not going to go for the full hour and a half like we usually do. But I think this is important, because this is something that I've been working on, planning on for a while, and seeing how things are shifting into a complex direction. Many people are optimistic. I'm optimistic as well, but there's few things that are happening that is making things sort of unnerving, right? Supply chain planning issues, some of the things that are happening with the helium, which we will talk a little bit about, and some of the things that are happening this often cost. Okay. All right. I'll accept that. Okay. I think we're back. Okay. So as I was talking about supply chain planning, right? Supply chain issues, some of the helium things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some of the memory issues. But these are important things that we really have to talk about, because those are part of our decision factors that we have to calculate. If you've seen me speak before, you probably have heard me talk about OpenClaw. We will keep talking about OpenClaw, because that is the future of operating systems. And this is not coming from me. This is coming from the industry experts. And you probably hear Jenson Huang just talk about it right now, that OpenClaw will definitely shift the way we do business. Is it going to be totally different than what we have done before? I think it's going to augment more than it shifts and deducts, right? It will enhance, it will augment, and it will increase the capabilities with exponential growth of some of the things that we do currently, but we find ourselves doing in repeatable, redundant ways. Agents are coming, OpenClaw is there, and OpenClaw is definitely going to change. And some of the numbers that you have to know about OpenClaw is far different than what OpenClaw will openly advertise, and majority of the users of OpenClaw will not be able to tap into that. But that's the power of OpenClaw. It's not necessarily what you do in the internet, but within your own device. This is something that you can probably lead your team into to further optimize the current process without risking a lot. So we're going to talk about Helium. We're going to talk about OpenClaw. But we are first going to look at the video here and listen to Jenson Huang speak on some of those topics in the GTC 2026. There's hundreds of videos about Okay, that's second time kick me off. Apologies, but let's kick off one of those videos here, which I think you will find very informative, because this is not something that Jensen Huang is predicting the future, but he's already articulating what's happening in the field and how the shifts will be widely adopted in a open source manner. But once we scale and once we are scaling, how do we sustain it? That's going to become part of Jensen Huang's NVIDIA's business to be able to not only scale it, but sustain it and help sustaining that for their partners.
AI, large category. We believe, and I just mentioned, we have 3 computing systems, all the software platforms on top of it. Physical AI as a large category. It's technology industry's first opportunity to address a $50 trillion industry that has largely been, void of technology until now. And so we need to invent all of the technology necessary to do that. I felt that that was a 10-year journey. We started 10 years ago. We're seeing it inflecting now. It is a multi-billion-dollar business for us. It's close to $10 billion a year now. And so it's a big business and it's growing exponentially. And so that's number one. I think in the case of digital biology, I think we are literally near the ChatGPT moment of digital biology. Yeah. We're about to understand how to represent genes, proteins, cells. We already know how to understand chemicals. And so the ability for us to represent and understand the dynamics of the building blocks of biology, that's a couple of 2, 3, 5 years from now.
What a revolution agents have become, and specifically the hobbyists who are really where a lot of energy we see, a lot of the innovation breaks, want desktops. You announced one here. I believe it's the Dell 6800. This is a very powerful workstation to run local models, 750 gigs of RAM. Obviously, the Mac Studio sold out everywhere. In my company, we're moving to OpenClaw everything. Freeberg just got claw-pilled. You got claw-pilled, I understand, and you're obsessed with these. What is this from the streets movement of creating open source agents and using open source on the desktop mean to you? And
so great.
Where is that going?
Yeah, so great. First of all, let's take a step back. In the last 2 years, we saw basically 3 inflection points. The first one was generative. ChatGPT brought AI to the common everybody, to our awareness. But the fact of the matter is the technology sat in plain sight months before GPT. It wasn't until ChatGPT put a user interface around it, made it easy for us to use, that generative AI took off. Now, generative AI, as you know, generates tokens for internal consumption as well as external consumption. Yeah. Internal consumption is thinking, which led to reasoning. 01 and 03 continued that wave of ChatGPT, grounded information, made AI not only answer questions, but answer questions in a more grounded way useful. We started seeing the revenues and the economic model of OpenAI start to inflect. Then the third one was only inside the industry that we saw, Claude Code, the first agentic system that was very useful, really